Hello and welcome to Padho to Aise. We are supposed to discuss 1000 most important question for UGC NET JRF Political Science Paper 2. This is lecture number 5th. I have already completed 4 different lecture. You can check out in our description box. The link is given. Also, if you want to download the PDF of this, then you can download our app Padho to Aise. You can also explore our recorded courses which are best for UGC NET and JRF. We also have the live doubt classes. Apart from that, if you want to buy our test series, this is the information. This would be the best suited test series for upcoming January examination or like whenever you are going to take your examination. So straightforward, let us come to the question. The question number 1 says, who among the following associated with the concept of justice as fairness? So the correct answer for this is going to be John Rawls. Because John Rawls, for the first time, wrote an article called Justice as Fairness. Later on, he gave the theory of justice, and which is very famous. He wrote that book, The Theory of Justice, in 1971. And all the contemporary theory, whether that is communitarianism, whether that is multiculturalism, is revolving around his theory of justice. John Rawls, apart from justice as fairness, gave a lot of different concepts. He talked about equality of opportunity. He also talks about the reflexive equilibrium concept, difference principle. A lot other things are there which I have covered some of them in my previous lectures. Talking about Ronald Dworkin is very important. He has given the concept of right as trump. That means if you compare liberty, equality, rights, and justice, so Ronald Dworkin is the one who is giving most importance to the right. Apart from this, Ronald Dworkin also talks about equality of resources. At one hand, the John Rawls is talking about just equality of opportunity, but opportunity does not make sure that you are going to get the favorable outcome. So therefore, you must be substantiated by the equal resources as the other has. So then only you will be able to succeed in your life. So therefore, Ronald Dworkin talks about equality of resources, added another dimension to equality of opportunity. Later on, the Amartya Sen came and he talked about the capability approach. He talked about equality of capability. That is also very unique. Also, when we are talking about Michael Walzer is a communitarian thinker. He talks about complex equality. That is also very important for us. He also wrote a book called Spheres of Justice. That is also important for us. Okay, talking about like Robert Nozick is also very important for us. He's a neoliberal thinker. And he gave the concept of night watchman. He said state as a client and night watchman. He's said to be the reincarnation of John Locke, because whatever the John Locke was saying before, the same thing was being repeated by Robert Nozick. And for your kind information, let me tell you that neoliberalism is nothing but a kind of revival of classical liberalism. So therefore, whatever the classical liberalism was advocating, the same thing the new liberals are also advocating. So that's the point what we need to understand. Now let us go to the next question. I think I explained you a lot in this. Now these are very very important book. Talking about the Hannah Arendt is a communitarian thinker. She belongs to communitarianism. This is very important. She also talks about a lot of concepts. Uh, she was a very staunch critique of the totalitarian regime which was under Nazi Party and Hitler. So she also wrote some book called On Totalitarianism. She gave the concept of banality of evil. A lot of things are there. But talking about this particular question over here, Hannah Arendt wrote the book called Human Condition. Robert Putnam is a very important thinker. He gave the concept of social capital. Like capital is a concept in political culture. So we are not going to discuss this in great detail as of now. But just remember that Bowling alone is the name of his book, and he gave the concept of social capital. So Stephen Lukes, he talks about the three faces of power. He is also a very important thinker and often termed as the critical thinker. Okay, now talk about Francis Fukuyama. He's a kind of neoliberal thinker, you could say, and he said that liberal democracy has won the war of ideology which was going between the communism and liberal democracy or capitalism. So capitalism is the last man, he propounded. And he also claimed that no other ideology is going to be in future which is going to challenge this capitalism or liberal democratic idea. So therefore he termed the end of the ideological evolution of all the human beings, and that is called the end of history. The history didn't end in the with the perspective of the events. The events will continue and these events should be recorded as history in future. But talking about the evolution of ideology in the mankind. The liberal democracy is the last one, and no other ideology is going to come. This is what he proclaimed. So Francis Fukuyama is related to end of history, very important. Apart from him, a lot of other thinkers are related to end of history. In fact, talking about Karl Marx, Hegel, these all other thinkers are also associated with end of history. Okay, let us go to the next question. Who gave the concept of biopolitics? So the concept of biopolitics was given by Michel Foucault. So Michel Foucault is a postmodern thinker. He gave a lot of concepts. In postmodernism, he talks about governability. He talks about panopticon concept, the concept of panopticism. That's for the first time given by Jeremy Bentham. These are the words you could remember because it is not, like possible to explain everything in this, a kind of crash course, a question series, you could say. And he also talks about the knowledge and power relationship. He also talks about biopower. So, biopolitics is the way to control the citizens of a country without using the brute force, just using the ideological apparatus. That is called the biopolitics in, like simple terms. Now let us go to question number 4. This is also a very important concept. So here it is asking that who is most associated with the concept of pluralist democracy. So the concept of pluralist democracy was given by Robert Dahl. This is very important. Remember this. Also talking about who gave the concept of the sovereignty. There are two kind of sovereignty. There could be the monistic theory of sovereignty and there could be the pluralistic theory of sovereignty. Remember my point. So Harold Lasky and MacIver, these are two thinkers who are associated with the pluralistic theory of sovereignty. So people often get confused that who is associated with democracy and sovereignty. So when they ask you about sovereignty, it is the Harold Lasky and MacIver. Those would be the answer. When they are talking about pluralist democracy, then this is the Robert Dahl. This is what you need to remember. Now let us go to question number 5. Okay, yeah, Samuel P. Huntington is also a very important thinker. Antonio Negri, Honeth, these all are very important thinker. I think I have covered these in my upcoming lectures. Let us come to question number 5. Justice is contextual and varies across the social goods. That's true. What the justice means for me does not mean for a person who is in Saudi Arabia or in maybe a different nation. So the meaning of justice vary from one society to another society. Maybe for one woman wearing burqa is justice. For another woman, if they're compelled to wear burqa, that is injustice for them, right? So this is what the justice is. Maybe if some women is putting the vermilion on their forehead, the sindoor on their forehead, it may be justice for them. If you will stop them putting that, then that may be injustice because that may be their convention or tradition. So justice is not absolute. Justice is relative, depending upon the people, depending upon, like different societies. This is what we need to understand. So statement number 1 is true. Also, Michael Walzer book is very important, Sphere of Justice. I told you he also talked about the complex equality. So Walzer advocated for the absolute equality in all the aspect of society. He didn't advocate it for absolute equality. In fact, he believed in complex equality. He said that equality is not that easy to achieve. Neither the equality is not that easy to understand. So equality is really a complex concept. A lot of elements, a lot of attributes are there in equality, which you need to understand, right? That what really the equality is. So therefore, statement number 2 is wrong one over there. Different spheres of justice require different distributive principle. That's also true. If you are distributing the economic goods, it requires a different distributive principle. You can't use the same distributive principle in all the sphere of life, in education, in economics, in religion, in all the spheres of life. The same distributive principle can't work. And this is what the main critique of John Rawls. He was saying that in society, if you are distributing the social goods to the people, you should follow the one principle of distributive justice. That's not actually possible. So statement number 3 is also correct. So therefore option number B is going to be your answer. Okay. Let us go to question number 6 and let us understand. Okay, yeah, this is what I have represented, that how our GRF candidates are being what. I have no problem at all. They are getting money for the testimony. So that's not a problem at all. Okay, so but you could read this and you could understand that how they are putting a lot of ads on social media and they're acquiring the student. And out of Their student, their success rate is very less, despite they are teaching the live classes. The problem is, in live classes, they are just teaching you the basics, and it is not going to help you to crack GRF or, like net to some extent you can crack, no doubt about that. But GRF is really, tough game nowadays. So therefore, you need to study more and more. At least you need to have 200 to 300 plus hour of content, and this is not possible to deliver in a live class actually what they are teaching in 120 or 130 hours. So this is why I'm saying that there are the recorded lectures, and then I keep on adding in the live classes. That is going to be more fruitful. That's why our ratio, our proportion of JRF is, a much more higher as compared to those at tech giants. Let us go to the next one. Now, the next one is, which of the following is associated with the concept of recognition in political theory? So, the concept of recognition is given by a lot of people. Maybe like Nancy Fraser is also one of the thinker, but over here, the recognition concept is, given by Charles Taylor. You have to remember, because Charles Taylor said that it is the responsibility of the society as well as the state to recognize the culture, tradition, and convention of each and every community in the society. Otherwise, they will feel alienated. Okay, so this is why we should actually respect the culture of the northeastern people, so that they should not feel alienated from the mainland India. This is very important. The recognition is very important by your fellow Indians. That's very important for us. Let us go to the next one. Talking about Honeth. Honeth talks about the recognition theories. He also gave the recognition theory, so you don't have to get confused. So his recognition theory is also, like similar to this. So Honeth gave the recognition theory, very important. Remember my point. So, in his recognition theory, the Honeth is talking about the social relationship and the self realization. It's very important to respect the social relationship. That's very important in a society, in a culture. That's very important. This is what the Honeth is talking about. Nancy Fraser is associated with the redistribution and recognition, I told you right now. After that, if you talk about the Agamben is associated with bare life. I think I taught you the concept of bare life in the previous classes. So please watch the previous lecture. I have explained this bare life concept in detail. Jargon Habermas talks about the discourse ethics. He is a staunch propagator and propounder of deliberative democracy. He talks about that there must be the deliberation among the people, among the leaders, before making any policy or program. But there is a lot of criticism also this of this discourse, like discourse or this deliberative democracy or discursive democracy could say. I am young. I'm not saying I'm young. Actually, there is a thinker, I am young, Iris Morris Young. He's the critique of this discourse ethics, which was given by Jargon Habermas. Habermas is also associated with the concept of public sphere, which is indeed related to discourse ethics. Also, apart from this, Habermas is also associated with the legitimization crisis concept. So you just check the option which one is correct. I told you all of them. Now, as I talked right now, that who is associated with the deliberative democracy, it is obviously the Jargon Habermas, who talked about deliberative democracy, discursive democracy, where we should participate, the citizen must participate, but which was criticized by I am Young later on. But Habermas is associated with deliberative democracy. Remember my point. Now let us go to the next one. Okay, over here, consider the following statement about the robot Nozick anarchy state and utopia. So Nozick critiques Rawls' theory of distributive justice. Obviously, Nozick is a neoliberal thinker. He's definitely going to critique the Rawls' theory of distributive justice, because he said that if a rich man is earning a lot of money with their, you know, like this is really hard money by the rich people, then why the rich people is going to distribute their hard earned money? If they are giving the taxes, they must in lieu get some services from the state, because state is, a kind of entrepreneur, and they are the clients. The citizens are the client, and clients are paying the money for the services, right? So this is what the logic argues. Actually, he again revived the concept of night watchman, which was given by John Locke. So therefore he is often said that he was the reincarnation of John Locke, right? Something like that. So let us understand the second one. He defends a minimal state limiting to protecting the individual rights. That's true. The book emphasizes the communitarian value. It is not going to happen in India because he is not communitarian. So therefore, he is obviously going to value the individual freedom as compared to the communitarian value, unlike Michael Walzer, Michael Sandel, McIntyre, because these are the communitarian thinkers, or Taylor maybe, for instance. So this is what we need to understand. So statement number two is correct. Three is wrong actually. So option number C is the correct answer for this. Okay, let us go to the next one. Okay, this is, I think, the repeated question because I already have told you about the concept of intersectionality, I think, in first two classes. Because the term intersectionality appeared in the first lecture when we were discussing about the theory of feminism. On the other hand, I also gave you this concept one day. But intersectionality is very important concept. It was given by Crenshaw. This is important. You can watch the explanation in the previous lectures. Let us talk about David Hume, which of and actually he's a very important thinker. And David Hume is a kind of ultra empiricist, I should say, right? If you if you haven't seen the rainfall, you cannot claim that there was rainfall. If you woke up in morning at night, I'm just joking, okay, and I'm not trolling anybody, please. So when you wake up in morning and when you see that the roads are wet and like your like surroundings are wet, so you can't claim that there was the rainfall. Hume was such an extreme empiricist that he said that if you didn't saw anything, you are not the person to claim that. You must claim a phenomena when you see that. That is very important. Okay, understanding my point. So he's like really, 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 really a very ultra actually empiricist. Okay, so humans are primarily, so what he like what's the question is, view on human nature. So humans are primarily rational and guided by logic. No, this is not what he believed actually. The second one is correct. The human actions are driven by the passion rather than reason. That's the correct statement, as as we talked about his theory. Okay, let us come to the next one. This is also very important actually. A Treatise of Human Nature is a very important book. Now let us go to the next one. Okay, so here talk about John Locke. First of all, John Locke gave the concept of the natural right and the limited government. Talking about Thomas Hobbes talks about the social contract theory and focused on the self-preservation. Montesquieu talks about the separation of power, and here Spinoza talks about the pantheism and the political tolerance. So I think I taught you the concept of pantheism before also. You can watch the lectures before and you can understand, right? So pantheism, like these two concepts are related to the secularism. You must respect all other religion and you should not claim just the superiority of your religion, your culture, your faith, your caste. That's the point what this like Spinoza makes over here. Let us understand the next one. This is also very important, like question number 13. So political philosophy of is Spinoza, what it talks about. So he supported the freedom of thoughts and expression in the stable like society. If the society is stable, then he's supporting this, like this is being said. Now the second one is Spinoza believed that the democracy is most natural form of government. Okay. His ideals were shaped by his critique of religious orthodoxy. Okay, try to answer this question first of all, because the answer is going to be, okay, first of all, you try to answer this, then I'm going to answer this one. Actually, you'd be surprised. All three, actually, like all three statements are correct in this one, all of them actually. See, first of all, he never opposed, despite, see, he was a critic of religious orthodoxy. There must not be the stereotype, convention, tradition in religion. But he was also a religious person. He was not an atheist, actually. So actually, he was the critique of religious orthodoxy. That's correct. He also believed that democracy is the most natural form of government, because in democracy the people give their consent that who are going to be the rulers. So therefore second one is also correct and first one is also correct. Then if the stable political order is there, if everything is going fit and fine, then you must give the political like freedom to the people, and you must give the freedom of speech and expression to the people. This is important for us. Okay, just a second, there is one message. Okay, let us go to the next one. So all three statements were correct over there. Okay, yeah. Which of the following best describe the political philosophy of Selden Wolin? So Selden Wolin is a very important thinker associated to contemporary theory sometime. Let us understand. So here is his idea of democracy actually. So democracy thrives under the strong centralized authority and minimal citizen involvement. This is the first option. Second one, Wolin introduced the concept of fatigue. Sorry, he given the concept of fugitive democracy, emphasizing the transient and participatory political engagement. Political stability requires the subordination of citizens' interest to the institutional goals. Wolin's work primarily critiques the Marxist perspective on state and power. See, the most correct one would be the option number B, because he was the person who introduced this is a very important concept indeed. He was the person who introduced the concept of the fugitive democracy. He said that it is very, very important that the people must participate in democracy. And the democratic process is not easy. The democratic process is really, really tiring, right? And he also opposed the bureaucratic framework which is in democracy. He said that the power must be in the hand of people, in the hand of citizens, and they must be participating in the political domain. They must be participating in political system, and this is not going to be easy. This is going to be really tiring, right? So he also talked about the fatigue over there. Like if you are going to, more and more going to associate it with your democracy, right? With your political system, then you are going to, like you are going to feel fatigue because this is really a tiring process, what I could say. So fugitive democracy, this is the concept given by the Selden Wolin, very important thinker. You have to remember this. Okay. Now again, let us talk about David Hume. Question number 15. So, which of the following statement about David Hume's political philosophy is true? Hume argued for balance between the liberty and authority. He rejects the idea of social contract as a historical basis for government. That's true. Actually, he didn't accepted the social contract. I told you not that he was empiricist. He said, "Have you saw the social contract in the past that it was being signed by the people and the government?" People are no, we didn't saw that. Then you must not believe that there was a social contract at all. So therefore he never actually believed in a social contract at all. So that's the point actually. He obviously believed in balance between liberty and authority. The third one is Hume emphasized the role of property as foundation for political stability. Yeah, he did supported the right to property, despite the Hume was really a poor fellow when he was young and he was actually selling the pamphlet, but his ideas were really, really revolutionary, really, really radical at that time. You are telling to the people that when you wake up in the morning and when you see that your whole surrounding is wet, then also you can't claim that there was the rainfall last night because you haven't seen a thing, then you should not believe that thing. This is what he talked about. He actually, the logic, reasoning, later on, the Immanuel Kant said are different things, right? And Immanuel Kant actually was a critic of David Hume. Later on, we will discuss about that, okay? Maybe. But here, all three statements are correct. Option number D is going to be the correct answer. Let us go to the next question. Okay, so there is Bauman, right? So first of all, we have to understand that Bauman gave the concept of liquid modernity. Now let us understand what is liquid modernity. Let me read the options, then you try to decide what is liquid modernity, right? A societal structure that emphasizes the stability and permanence in the social relationships, a state of constant change characterized by fluidity in identity, relationship, and societal norms, the ideal governance model where the rules are fixed and universally applied, a critique of industrial capitalism's rigid hierarchies and traditional value. Actually, see what is liquid modernity. Let us understand. So, the definitions and meaning in modernity is changing very frequently, very rapidly. So, therefore, the relationship, identity, the social norms, they are really, really fluid. Like before, there was a rigid code of conduct what the society had to follow, which was according to religion or which was according to some of the lawgivers in the past, like we had Manu and others. But nowadays, there has been the fluidity in the society, in the social norms. You must not stick to one. And people, like these social norms has become blurry. Like there is no watertight compartment distinction about, like, among them. So this is what it talks about, that the norms identity relationship in today's era has become very blurry and it is quite fluid. This is what we need to understand, right? This is the correct answer for us. Let us go to question number 17. Okay, so which of the following thinkers? Okay, managed democracy is again the concept given by Sheldon Wolin. Very important concept. So, managed democracy argues that the corporate and the political parties and bureaucracy, these all are managing the democracy. The citizens are at no place, they are on periphery, they are on the circumference of the circle, they must be at the center. So, managed democracy, it critique that only the politicians and the bureaucrats and the corporates, they are handling everything in the democracy and the citizens are given the back seat. This is the concept of managed democracy. Let us go to the next one. Okay, which is the key argument in Wolin's Politics and Vision? First of all, there's a very important book for UGC NET if you must remember this. Okay, politics should prioritize the market efficiency over the individual freedoms. Political theory must adapt the changes in the power dynamics and institutional practices. Democratic ideals are incompatible with the participatory politics. Historical analysis of politics is irrelevant to the contemporary governance. This is a really, really important question what we have to understand. So first of all, let us understand each and every statement over there before answering this one. Okay. So he does, like, first of all, let us understand this one. Historical analysis of politics is irrelevant to contemporary governance. No, that's not true, because he said that history is important element by which we are able to understand the politics. So if you want to understand the root of politics, you must go to history, you must refer to that, otherwise you will not be able to understand democratic ideals. No, actually he was believing in democracy. He said that democracy is not the best form of government, but this is the best among the worst. So therefore, this is the one what we know till now, till this date. So this is the best form of government since the evolution of mankind, right? So therefore, he is not against the democratic ideal. He is against the ill implementation of those ideals. You must implement that correctly. That's the problem what he was facing. So political theory must adopt the changes in power dynamics and institutional practices. So political theory actually, it must adopt according to the changing society. If the society was different, the political theory was different. He's associated with the revival of the political theory. There was a era where the people talked about the decline of political theory. There was Hobhouse and a lot of other thinkers were there. Sorry, not Hobhouse, by mistake I said that. David Easton was there, Robert Dahl was there, a lot of Robert Alfred Coben was there. A lot of thinkers were talking about decline of political theory. And in that era, Sheldon Wolin, Isaiah Berlin, Dante Germino also talked about the decline of political theory, but he was very optimistic that political theory is going to revive itself. John Rawls is one of the most important thinker who is credited for reviving the political theory. Then later Francis Fukuyama came, and then communitarian thinker, multiculturalist thinker, a lot of thinkers came later on. Okay, so now Sheldon Wolin gave the concept of fugitive democracy. You are going to match over there. Then you are going to match the pluralism in democracy with robot Dahl. So if you match the option, that would be option number A. So jargon Habermas talks about the communicative like rationality. When you have the discourse in the public, you must follow the what that is called the reason and rationality. And at the end, there is Hannah Arendt. She talked about the public realm. This is also very important. Okay, this is really, really important question. And I think if they are going to focus on Wallin nowadays, this question is going to be there. So let us understand this question. Okay. So here they are talking about the inverted totalitarianism. This is a very important concept, what we need to understand. Okay. So it describe a political system where the economic and bureaucratic power dominate the democratic process. Things has been inverted. I hope you understand. Like if this is my pen tab, this is inverted, right? Like that. Okay. upside down, that is called inverted, upright. Okay, so things has been inverted totalitarianism. So democracy has become inverted totalitarianism because nowadays the bureaucracy and the people who are economically very powerful is dominating the democratic process. The people are on the back seat. This indeed represent the concept of inverted totalitarianism. Let us go to the next one. It is achieved through the face and overt repression of civil liberties. It reflects the shift from the participatory politics to managed control. See, second option is not correct because it is saying it is achieved through force. See, today the corporates or whatever the bureaucrats are there, they're not literally achieving that by the brute force. They're not beating anyone or punishing anyone for achieving this inverted totalitarianism. They're just feeding you this in your religion, in your political system, in your education, everywhere, that you should not question the authority. This is how they are actually ideologically dominating you. One very recent incident happened with me, but I'm not the one who is going to be, silent if someone is going to, like do any injustice with me or with my colleagues or like anyone. So there are the instances. So they thought I'm just the normal one as the other people, but I did stood up against that. So they said that you are being politician. I'm like, I'm not a politician. I'm a scholar. But yeah, this is my responsibility. If you are going to, do injustice with me, I'm always there to stand up. Like you are not going to make me silent. You can't actually, like terrify me. You can't say that you can't do this because I have the right. I have Baba Sahib's constitution. The Samvidhan has its own power. Can't do that to us. And also, I'm planning to launch some merchandise. If some of you are, and that is just for social service, not for earning money. Trust me, this is a very, very, like I'm very like sadly saying this, that our bureaucracy is really, really corrupt. How the police is treating the people, how the bureaucrats are treating the people. There is a concept called my bab syndrome. We have to come out of this my bab syndrome. If you go to a DM office or to district collector office, you need to go like that. Oh, my dear father, my dear mother, you are everything. You are the God for us. How they become God for you? Are the people becoming God after cracking UPSC examination or getting a government job? Are they really becoming God? Or if they became a constable or a police or inspector? So, is that the process to become a God in this world? Can somebody become the God? Question yourself. But how you are treating them like a God? You don't know about your rights? You must make the t-shirts where we must protest. We must, like show our protest that we are the citizen of this country and we need respect, dignity. And you must treat each and every one of us with dignity. You are not our my bap. You are not our mother and father and God. You are just a public servant and you are here to serve us. And if you are not going to do that, the people are going to come together and going to protest. This is the point, actually. And actually, you should communicate these things to your politicians. Trust me, the people say the politicians are bad. Based on my experience, I worked with a lot of politicians. They are really a good man, actually. They are not incurring, like, uh, like they do not have any personal grudge with any public, any common man. So they are never in exploiting any personal, you know, like the people on the personal level. But these bureaucrats is going to, they are exploiting everybody at each and every level, starting from a peon to at the top. And many ministers and many politicians do not know that what is happening in their state. Some of them must be corrupt. I know that. But if you see the majority of the bureaucracy is corrupt as compared to the politicians. This is my personal experience, actually. I worked with a lot of them. So, this is what we need to understand, actually. So, here the answer is okay, let us understand. We were answering this. So, I said that option number two is wrong because they're not using the force in order to make democracy as inverted totalitarianism. So, option number one and option number three are correct. So, option number A is the correct answer. Who gave the concept of perpetual peace? This is really simple. Immanuel Kant. So I think I explained this concept, and being the aspirants, you must be knowing what that is. That was a really easy concept. You must be knowing that. Now let us talk about the Friedrich Nietzsche. Friedrich Nietzsche gave the concept of Superman. So this is what the Superman in German actually. Niccolo Machiavelli, he talked about the political pragmatism. He was the first modern thinker, as described by many scholars. In fact, the Quentin Skinner, who is like credited for compiling all the works of Machiavelli, which were scattered. That is also important. Locke believed in natural right to life, liberty, and property. Social contract and Leviathan is associated with Hobbes. Let us go to the next one. Okay, just a second. Which of the following is true about the Hegel's philosophy? He rejected the idea of historical process. His dialectical method emphasized the conflict and resolution between the opposites. Okay, Hegel argued about the separation of power in government. He primarily focused on the individual right over the state. See, actually, this Hegel is never focusing on the individual right. For him, the state was most important. If you are going to surrender to the state, and if you are just going to follow the will of the state, you are the one who is going to achieve the salvation. So a state is like God to him. He also says the state is the march of God on earth. So he's comparing the state and God together. He says with this statement that as God is perfect, as there is nothing which you point out in God. So God is 100% perfect. So there is no demerits, there is nothing like that in God. In same manner, the state is also such like God, just like God. So a state has, like no demerit. It is as perfect as God. This is what the Hegel is saying by that statement. That state is the march of God on earth. So never talk about this. He was not the one who talked about the separation of power. He didn't reject the historical progress. His dialectical method emphasized thesis, antithesis, synthesis, so conflict and resolution of the opposite. So option number B is the correct answer for us. The banality of evil. This concept was given by Hannah Arendt, and this is a very important concept. In this concept, she explained that how uh, you know a ordinary person, a common man, can commit a lot of atrocity and can commit a crime like Holocaust. The Holocaust, it was under the leadership of Hitler. But the people who were doing this, they were really innocent before. They were not like that. They were not brutish and they were not cruel. But how they became cruel? So, this is what the Ardent is trying to say, that if there is going to be a totalitarian system, the good people will also become bad in the influence of the totalitarian system, and they are capable of committing the atrocities on the population. So this is what the Hannah talks about. So each man in the Jerusalem, so each man was a kind of person associated with Hitler, right? And he participated in heinous crime, and he was not really criminal minded person. So I just gave you the gist. It is a really long story, and like this is very conceptual to some end. So let us understand which of the following best describe the robot doll concept of polyarchy. This is a very important concept. Concept of polyarchy says that the power in a society is not concentrated just in one group. There are different group, and they all have the different bargaining power depending upon their majority. Because nowadays there is the provision of one vote, one person, one vote, one value. So more would be the number in your group, more would be the bargaining power, more the resources you could get from the government, more the resources you can bargain from the government. So that's the point. So this is the concept of polyarchy actually, a system where a few elites control the decision making. No, he didn't believe that. He said that no, elites are not like controlling the decision making. They are being compelled by the groups. There are different groups in society depending upon their population. Each group have their bargaining power, and they are actually like trying to influence that elite class, and elite class has to work in their favor according to their vote bank politics, right? So if the population of one group is more, then obviously that population is going to get more as compared to the other population. Now the next one is a political arrangement that ensured the widespread of participation and competition. That's true actually. A governance model advocating for complete decentralization of power. No, Not at all. A theoretical framework promoting democratic direct democracy, that's also wrong. So the concept of polyarchy is given by Robert Dahl, very important for the first thing what you have to understand. And next is, it said that the power is not in the hand of elite. There are different groups in the society. They all have their relative power depending upon their population. They bargain to governance and government, and they ask for the resources, and they get as per their ability, as per their capacity to influence the vote bank politics, uh, like the electoral system. This is what we need to understand. I hope you get the point. So if you still want to join our test series, we're providing a lot of things. Trust me, it is going to be a full package for you where you can understand each and everything. So thank you so much, everybody. And please do like, share, and subscribe this channel, and do share with your friends so that I could make good content in English, because I do not, and also, I'm from North India. So initially I was not good at English. So nowadays, when I started teaching in America, it took me some time, but after that I'm still learning how to speak English. Okay, like I was in the English medium school, but since I'm belonging from a Hindi speaking state, so environment is not such that we are always speaking in English. So that's the point, but I'm trying my best. So please appreciate this effort, because there is not much content in English available for UGC NET JRF political science. So I could be the one who could guide you in English medium, and I could be the one who could guide the South Indian students too at the same time. So please do like, share, and subscribe this channel. Do share with your friends. And thank you so much, everyone, for appreciating my efforts.